Oops.
That was a fair pay.
Yeah, I earned $675 at being the basketball court attendant one night a week.
Dude, I absolutely ran the scoreboard. I reffed youth soccer games.
Yeah.
The best job I ever had, I think I've told you this. One summer, I got a job working at the canoe and kayak rental place in Prouts, which is the really wealthy, old money enclave. It's kind of the Hamptons of Maine, out past Scarborough. And it really is. I mean, it's a lot of New York families and stuff. And there was this canoe and kayak rental place called the Nonsuch Oar and Paddle Club. I mean, even the name oozes old money. And we would have to take these kayaks and canoes off the shelves and bring them down to the beach so that families could go out for a little paddle. And I think I made like $11 an hour there, which seemed like an absolute windfall.
Shit ton, yeah.
But halfway through that summer, I befriended a lot of the really wealthy kids that were members of the families that came out there. And we would go to their screened-in porches at night and play beer pong. And it was my first real like initiation into teenage drinking. And it was so fun. And I would just spend the night at their massive houses and then go to be the working boy during the day. I was kind of like John B. in Outer Banks. You probably don't know that, but a lot of us do. And
what the fuck does that mean?
Well, you probably haven't watched that show. You've been busy, like, killing dogs and shit.
Hilarious. Just like burn there, dude.
You're taking 500-mile detours to see caribou, and meanwhile, some of us have to work.
That is fucking great, dude.
No, but really quick. So I befriended these kids, and one day they brought me to. They had figured out that at the very fancy hotel, which was called the Black Point Inn, which was up on the bluff, it was a WASP stronghold. They figured out that every day at like 3 p.m. they put out a tea, which was serve yourself. And so you could make yourself tea, but it also had these finger sandwiches and little pastries and free food, basically. So we would walk in and we would just rifle through this thing. I mean, we would pillage the tea setup. And they had a grand piano, a Steinway grand piano in the sort of place near the tea. It was like this big, I don't know what you'd call it, hall kind of in between where like the bar area was and where the formal dining room was. And I one day asked some kind of like, some person who worked there if I could play the piano really quick. And they were like, yeah, I don't give a shit. And I sat down and I started playing, and I was playing for like 5 minutes. And a manager from the hotel came out and said, hey, you're pretty good. Would you be interested in playing here 2 nights a week during cocktail hour? And I was like, oh, cool. Yeah. And he goes, great. We'll pay you $50 an hour.
Great.
And all of a sudden, dude, I went from making $11 an hour to adding, I would play for like 3 hours, 2 nights a week. And all of a sudden I was making $300 a week in addition to my full-time Nonsuch Oar and Paddle Club thing. And dude, it felt like I'd won the fucking lottery.
That's great, dude.
Making $50 an hour seemed like more money than I could ever have imagined. I got a 5x raise for this other job, which was just for me to sit and play the piano. I had to wear like a blazer or whatever. And that was probably the best job for that stage of life that I ever had.
Yeah, dude, that's fantastic. If you like that video, check out our channel where we have way more videos. I just don't know how to do this. This is unbelievable. If you like that video, we have way more videos on our channel. Please like and subscribe. Turn on notifications if you want to know when there are new ones. But if not, check them out, and we appreciate it.
Oops.